is this saying Lord Methane? I just need to see. Lord, we're going to talk to Lord. Did I pronounce that right? Is it Lord Methane? Is that what it is?
Unless you're in the UK, that'd be methane. I think.
Methane?
I prefer methane.
Methane. Okay. Sorry.
Methane,
Hi. Welcome, Lord Methane.
All weather.
What would you like to talk
I didn't call to talk about my authority on climate change today. I called to speak about what the first caller was talking about.
Okay.
As from my authority in the Pantheon, on the biblical theme of blood atonement.
Okie dokie.
Wait, was the first caller talking about the biblical theme of blood atonement?
I don't think so. It was child sacrifice, I think.
Yeah, he talked about child sacrifice.
Oh, okay. And you're counting that as blood atonement?
Evidently.
Because I'm not convinced that sacrificing children to Moloch was in fact the same as blood atonement, that it may have been a different sort of appeasement. But in either case, go ahead. It has nothing to do with the Bible.
Well, it's just
maybe I'll get play test this time.
To the blood atonement.
I'm sorry, what?
Human sacrifice is the alternative to the blood atonement.
Well, under which model? That's not under a biblical model. And I'm not aware. I'm not aware that we have a justification for why worshipers of Moloch were doing this. But go ahead.
Well, you do agree that the blood atonement is the main theme that runs throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament, right?
No.
You don't?
No, I don't think that blood atonement is I don't think that blood atonement is the main theme that runs throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament. I think the Old Testament is a chronicle of people who couldn't live up to anything that God wanted ever, and an inept God that kept trying to get them to love him. Oh, you don't love me? Let me do this. You don't love me? Let me do this. Why won't you love me? I'm going to punish you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. The notion of atonement exists, sure, throughout, but I don't think it's the main story throughout. But even if it is, it doesn't matter. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, Jesus was the blood atonement. The Jews practiced the blood atonement, and all the way from Adam, the blood atonement was portrayed throughout the Bible.
I'm wondering what point you're trying to get to, because you do realize that I know the Bible pretty well, and that the caller who called in earlier about child sacrifice, I corrected them. So what are we trying to get to?
I'm happy that you did that, because you're right on that one.
I'm right on all of it. What are we getting to? What point are we trying to get to?
I'm trying to get to it. So
okay, you do realize this show's over like in less than 35 minutes. So what point did you want to get to?
Well, I'm trying to go to the scripture of Leviticus 27:29.
Why? What is it going to prove?
Well, apparently, at least half of your audience thinks that human sacrifice was something that was portrayed in the Bible as acceptable. And you said it wasn't, but apparently a bunch of them still believe that.
Well, there are verses that are disputed and played up as that, but no, there's no express call for child sacrifice like that as an atonement. But if you called in just to correct other people who aren't the people you're talking to, we don't need to do that.
No, I called. No, I called before I even knew that lady was on.
Well, then what would you like to talk about? Because this is all a waste of time right now. What did you call about?
No, it's not a waste of time, because this is the main theme that runs throughout the entire Bible.
Okay, I don't give a fuck. I only care whether or not it's true. What point were you trying to get to?
The point is that human sacrifice was never accepted in the Bible.
Correct. I don't give a shit.
When it spoke.
Okay. If you don't raise a point that is relevant for me and Shannon to address, I'm going to hang up on you. This is not a show for you just to call in and preach.
This isn't preaching. When it spoke about the ban that people were condemned or devoted, the devoted things that were killed, the devoted things were the things that were in transgression against the law, and that's the same thing as...
You are boring me and the audience to tears. What point would you like to make, please, sir? This is not just a venue for you to call in and preach. Either defend a position and engage with the hosts on this show, or piss off.
The point is that the Bible never accepted, God never accepted a human sacrifice, never.
Hang up on this jackass who is now doing this of what I already fucking acknowledged before he called in. And you, sir, are a liar because you said you called in before you knew what that person was calling about. And yet I gave you every opportunity to talk about what you initially called in for. And instead you only addressed what a previous caller said, which had already been corrected. You wasted your one shot. Please go and pray to your God and ask forgiveness for failing miserably to offer any sort of relevant defense of the faith. Next.
And also, I'm not sure if I entirely agree, because what about Jephthah? Like Jephthah
was not a command to sacrifice child. That was a deal Jephthah made with God, saying, "I will kill. Yeah, I'll make a deal," and he held it up. Now God accepted that child sacrifice. Because
but God didn't ask for it. Jephthah said, "I'll kill whoever comes out my door first," and his daughter wandered out his door.
Meanwhile, what could have been really interesting there is that the whole binding of Isaac story, as I pointed out many times, requires that Abraham expected that God could and would ask for him to kill his son. Yes. Otherwise, there's no reason to reward his obedience. And so the caller is wrong about what the Bible implies. He's just pedantically correct about what it expressly says, and it couldn't be any less relevant to what's going on the show.